Hello, this is Patrick from Expression, and I'd like to go over one of the great new features of Expression 6.5, the visual logic block for sort selection. You can look at my viewport and you can see that I have a full screen graphic. It's favorite movie cops of the 80s, and it's vote totals. You can see that I have 5 rankings up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then next to each one I have a name and a column for a vote total. If we look at my object manager, we can see that my ranking is an individual object, and I've kind of left that floating. The next thing that I've done is groups, and that's in a group. You can see if I turn it on and off, you can see what I've done is I've got name 1 and points 1 inside group 1, and I've got the same thing for group 2, 3, 4, and 5. The way this is built, I have a data link tool that is my favorite movie cops, and that's linked to an Excel spreadsheet. So if I look at my Excel spreadsheet here, you can see right now everybody's got 0. So let's change them so you can kind of follow along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to save that, and you can see that it will change their vote totals. And right now you can see that the biggest number is on the bottom. Well, what I'd really love to have happen, Jack Cates in his name and his rank, or I'm sorry, Jack Cates' name and his total should make him the highest number on the list because he has the most points. So let's go ahead and let's work on that. I'm going to do that in Visual Logic. What I need to do in Visual Logic is go to the scene objects, and I'm going to find each one of the points. So I'm going to go to the object for points, I'm going to find text. And if I look at that text block, that's number 1, that's John McClane, it should be a 1, and it is. So I'm going to go through here, and again, I could do this a lot of different ways. I'm just going to quickly go ahead and copy them and put them over here, and it's the first thing I'm going to work with, which is the points. I'm taking the text value of it because I'm going to be using that to drive some functions here. I'm going to quickly put them off on the screen into my Visual Logic window, and I'm trying to keep it nice and neat. It makes life easier later. It's a good habit to get into. So I've got points 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, what I want to do is adjust the Y position of the group because I want the Y position of the group to be sorted and repositioned based on the vote total. So I'm going to go to group 1 and take its Y position. It's the last thing I'm going to affect. I'm going to bring it all the way to the right. I'm going to work from left to right. So I'm going to take the Y position of each group and move it across onto my Visual Logic window. And you can see I've got Y position for each item. And again, there are lots of different ways I could do this a lot faster. I'm just trying to make sure that it's straightforward and that you see it. Now, here's what I want to do. Based on this number, I want to adjust the Y position. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use a math block, and I'm going to take function value from math. I'm going to bring out 5 of them. I just happen to know these numbers. I've got them written down. I'm going to clean these up here a little bit just so that they stay nice and orderly for us because it'll help us out later. And again, just good habits. I'm going to put them in. The highest vote totals value should have a Y position of 524. My second place should have 379. My third place should have 234. My fourth place should have 89. And my last one's Y position for the group should be minus 56. Okay? So I've got all of those pieces there. Now, here's where the fun starts. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to selectors, and I'm going to choose the function block for sort selector. And what I'm going to do, you can see my sort selector's got one set of connectors here. I'm going to take the points for text points 1 and link it to input 1. I'm going to take number 2 and link it to input 2. I'm going to take number 3, link it to input 3, 4, and 5. Now, if I hover over the order, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How come? Because if I look at the properties of my sort selector, I have 2 choices I can make here. One is the sort direction. I want it to be descending, so I want the biggest number on top, so I'm going to choose descending instead of ascending. The other one is the output mode, and I have 2 choices here. I can have inputs are arranged using the sort order and pass to outputs, which is what I'm adjusting here, or I could say outputs use their position in the sort order to select an input. Now, I'm going to leave this block alone for a minute. I'm going to go get another block and we'll put all of this together to make sense. What I want to do is I'm going to take these values, which are the Y positions. These are the objects or groups that I'm organizing in their Y positions. So what I want to do is take the value of 1 and put it in, the value of position 2, put it in, the value of position 3, put it in, value for position 4, put it in, value, missed the dot there, the value for position 5. Now, I want to take the outputs and you can see on my video out, things are going to start to get a little goofy here. And we'll fix all that in a second, not to worry. I'm connecting my outputs. And that should have, yep, it's the wrong one. There's 4, and there's 5. Now, here's what I want to do. I'm going to use my sort selector, and I want it to be a descending, and I'm going to choose that the outputs use their position in the sort order to select an input. Now, these are both descending blocks. I'm going to take the order and put it to order in, and look at that, everything switches 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. Now I'm going to come to my Excel file here and I'm going to put in some strange random numbers, 97, 23, 109, 22, 57. And I'm going to save it, and look at that. My graphic is now sorted. So as those values change in the vote totals, you'll notice that the group's Y position reorders itself. So if I look at the different vote totals that I have here, the highest number here is Roger Murtaugh. Look at that, he's up on top. John McLean is number 2. Jack Cates is number 3. So you can see that we're sorting in numerical order, and I've chosen that to be descending. If I change this to ascending, and I change this one to ascending, now it's the biggest one on the bottom instead of the top. So this could be, for example, golf scores. This one could be for social media vote totals. And I changed them around for what I'm trying to accomplish. So what you've seen me do is take my graphic, I'm putting it in sorting order, I'm taking my data from an external source using DataLink, and I'm having it sort by the total, and it's changing the Y position values based on what those numbers are. So if I go ahead and make this 33, he'll go from number 1 to number 3 automatically. That's the basics of the visual logic block sort select.